All right, everyone, we're going to get started with episode 2 of our Learning Lab series. Today, we're going to talk about what does good knowledge look like. Thank you all for coming. Really excited that you're all here. Mary Catherine, I didn't mean to, put the spotlight on you, but you had written in, so I wanted to give you a shout out for calling in from Denver. So thank you for posting in the chat. If the rest of you want to introduce yourself, please feel free to do so in the chat. We want to hear where you're calling from, and this is going to be an interactive situation. So definitely feel like you can post in the chat, ask some questions through the Q&A. We'll go over some guidelines in a couple of minutes. So today is a learning lab. This is different from your run-of-the-mill webinar in a couple of ways, but first and foremost because we are using learning objectives. And so by the end of this session, our intention is that you will be able to organize your knowledge into types and topics, and we'll cover the 4 types of knowledge today. That's one of the subjects that we'll dive into. You will also be able to determine ownership over your knowledge and be able to assign that ownership of knowledge in Guru. And you'll also be able to easily add to your knowledge base when it is needed most and in a fast and effective way. So those are the 3 main learning objectives that we'll be focusing on today. And some guidelines for our Learning Lab in general. If you attended last week's Learning Lab, we focused on the structure of your knowledge. Today we'll be focusing on the content of your knowledge, but the guidelines are still very similar. Today is interactive. We want your participation here. This isn't your run-of-the-mill webinar, it's a Learning Lab. And as part of that participation, we will be asking some questions, some polls. We'll give you some time to try things out in Guru, and we'll also demo that real time for you so that you can get familiar with how things work within Guru. As a part of this participation, we want you to have your Guru instance open. So if you haven't signed up for a Guru team yet, we highly recommend you do so. We've created a link here for you. That's bit.ly/try-guru. This is a great chance for you to sign up for a trial. It's a 30-day trial. Gives you plenty of time to really kick the tires and learn how to use our product. And we've heard that some of you like to take notes. You're totally welcome to do so. But in case we move too quickly and you might miss something, we'll be sending you the recording afterwards. That way you can reference this for you personally or for the rest of your team if you want to spread this learning to the rest of your team. Cool, so here's how this goes. There will be 3 sections to this learning lab. I went over those during the learning objectives. So first I'll cover a high-level concept about knowledge and knowledge bases. And then we'll talk about how this concept manifests in Guru and how this helps you in Guru. From there, we'll go through what that looks like for one of our Guru customers, one of our champions, as we call them. And then I'll give you some time to try this out in Guru yourself. We like to call that do time. Every time you see a slide that says it's go time, that's when you should have your Guru instance open, and we'll give you an opportunity to try things. Cool. So during our last Learning Lab, we gave you a template for evaluating the current state of your knowledge. We want to hear from you. And if you haven't had a chance to evaluate the current state of your knowledge, there's a link right here, bit.ly/no review. This gives you a chance to go through the current state of your knowledge and do a review of where do things live, who owns what knowledge does my team need on a day-to-day basis. So we want to hear from you right now. If you had the chance to go through this review, what did you learn? Did you find that your knowledge was across many different sources? Were you able to identify people who would be part of a network of champions? We want to hear from you, so post in the chat or tell us through private Q&A. We're going to take about 2 minutes just to hear from you now. And you can send this to all panelists or all panelists and attendees if you want to share with the class, so to speak. I'm seeing that people learned that their team had to check many sources of knowledge, kind of like 4 or 5. I'm hearing that people realize that there are more people on their team that they expected who care about knowledge. That's awesome. That'll really be helpful for your network of champions. Awesome. Yeah. Started writing down the future network of champions. That's great. That's really, it's really great to hear. Cool. All right. So we're going to move forward and we're going to give you a bit of a cheat code. So if you took the time to do a full knowledge review, you probably found that there were multiple sources of info that your team needs to access in order to get the knowledge that they need to do their job. Since you're here, you're probably thinking about Guru, and you're thinking about a way to best unify your knowledge in one central location and be able to bring that info into your team's workflows. So we're going to provide you with a bit of a cheat code here. This will help you with bringing knowledge into Guru. So if you are thinking of moving your knowledge from an existing source into Guru, and you want to create knowledge in bulk within Guru, we recommend you check out our migration options. This is mentioned in that knowledge review spreadsheet, but we also have given you a link here that's bit.ly/guru-migrate. These are some of our migration options. It'll direct you to a Help Center article that can walk you through step-by-step how to bring knowledge into Guru. Now, if you're looking to sync your existing knowledge bases or your existing sources into Guru and unify all the different types of knowledge that your team might need on a day-to-day basis, we recommend checking out our knowledge sync options. That's bit.ly/guru-sync. This is a great way for teams to bring information in from Zendesk or Google Drive or Confluence or Box. Soon we'll be adding Dropbox. I've heard requests for Evernote. If there's another source that you want to hear, let us know. Reach out to us through the chat with us button in your Guru web app, and that way we can log that for our product team to think about. Cool. So here are a couple cheat codes. Definitely reference them as you're bringing knowledge into Guru, and that's something that we'll talk about throughout this learning lab. So this is just a reminder of what we're all about. The knowledge you need to do your job should find you when and where you need it. We've worked with hundreds of customers who have realized this pain point, and we've put knowledge as a center point of their team's success. We know how important knowledge is to accomplish the day-to-day tasks that you have and the things that you need to accomplish on a daily basis. So last session, we talked about what is knowledge, and now we're going to talk about what is good knowledge. So we talked about knowledge being info that you need to accomplish your daily tasks. And these are the four, this is the criteria in which we think about good knowledge, either in Guru or in general. So good knowledge is bite-sized. It's easy to read, it's easy to learn, and easy to reference. You don't want to spend all your time searching through a 10+ page Google Doc to find the one sentence that you're looking for. You want to be able to quick search and find the information that you're looking for. And that manifests in Guru in this image on the right-hand side. This is a Guru card. It's the building block of knowledge in our product, and you'll have a chance to create some cards today. Good knowledge is also easy to access. You need to be completing the task at hand and not spending time searching for ages looking for the information you need. We make that really, Guru makes that knowledge really accessible by bringing it in your workflow in more than one way. And we'll cover that more in our third learning lab, focusing on rolling out Guru to your team. Good knowledge has clear ownership. You don't want to spend so much time looking for who you're supposed to turn to for more context or for related information, or when this knowledge isn't up to date. You want to be able to clearly understand who owns a piece of knowledge in whatever knowledge base your team is using. And we'll go over that a little bit more in depth when we talk about verification in Guru. Finally, good knowledge has clear revision history. How can I tell when something has been changed, when something has been updated, or when something hasn't been updated for months, weeks, years, what have you? So again, all of this manifests in our product as the Guru card, and we'll go through some of the attributes of it today. But we really want you to think about the way in which your knowledge is currently structured, and does it fall into this good knowledge criteria. So I promised you all a story, and if you attended our first Learning Lab, this is a familiar face. This is Chad. He is one of our Guru advocates, or Guru champions. We also like to call them Empower Rangers. He is a senior sales enablement manager. His main focus is ensuring his team has all the info and the training that they need to perform. And Chad, before Guru, found that he was wrangling information from many different teams and different sources. And now with Guru has one central location of verified, expert-owned information that his team can reference very easily in their workflow. Okay, so moving into the 3 subjects that we talked about, those 3 learning objectives. First, we're going to start by talking about organizing your knowledge in a successful way by type and topic. Now, we think of knowledge in 4 different buckets, and these are the 4 buckets. Keep an eye on the emojis, they'll be important later. So we've worked with a lot of customers, and we've determined that the best way to organize your knowledge is by type, or type and topic. These are the 4 types of knowledge that we found that any team you're working on, you're likely to have knowledge that falls into each one of these types. So to dive in, process knowledge, that's that information needed to take each step in a process. You need to know how to do each step and how they connect. This is especially helpful if your team is working in different tools and need to know how to move forward in their processes and feel accomplished when they do move forward. Conversational knowledge, that's the information you need at the drop of a hat. Let's say you're on the phone with a prospect or a customer, you're in a chat with someone who's not too happy with your company right now, and you need to respond to them very quickly. You need that knowledge on the go and in a way that preserves the customer or the prospect experience. Product knowledge is knowing how to make your product do great things for your customers internally or externally. So knowing how a product works empowers you to be a champion for that product and to get more out of the tool that you're already using. Finally, external knowledge is the additional content that you can send externally to a prospect or a customer that supplements the conversations you're having. So you might not think of a PDF or a document or even swag that you would send to someone as knowledge, but that does supplement the customer experience and the experience of the people that you're working with in a positive way. And that is just as important as the knowledge you need when you're fighting a fire in the chat, or empowering someone to be a product champion, or going through a process and checking off each box. So knowledge structure in Guru, and this will become very relevant when we go into the do time. So we referenced this diagram last week. It's how knowledge is structured in Guru. Last week, we focused on collections, that highest level. We talked about it as the concert or the music festival, the one location for all of your team's knowledge. Today, we'll focus on knowledge organization in Guru, specifically looking at board groups, boards, and sections, as well as Guru cards. So if we're continuing the metaphor, collections are the concerts and the music festival. And we talked last week about groups, the difference between an author group and the end users being the artists at the festival and the audience at the festival. Then a good way to think of boards are these stages at the music festival where the music or the knowledge is organized to perform. Another good way to think about boards are the folders within a collection that allow you to organize your knowledge by topic or type, as we just talked about. Sections allow you to further organize a board, and board groups allow you to, you guessed it, group similar boards together if they're similar topics. Now, most of your team will likely use Guru's search function to search and to seek and quickly find the knowledge they need at a moment's notice. We'll cover that more next week during our lab on rolling out Guru, but boards are very important to your knowledge organization. It gives your team a better understanding of how your knowledge is organized by topic, and it allows them to go into the Guru web app and read or consume or learn this info in a narrative format. This is really, really helpful for people being onboarded to your team or to a new part of your organization. It gives them an opportunity to, consume everything one after the other versus quickly searching and finding. But the great thing about Guru is that if you wanted to read your knowledge in a narrative format, you could do so in these boards, but you could also quickly search and find by using the Guru extension or the search bar in the web app. So with boards in mind and referencing those 4 different types of knowledge, we talked about process knowledge, conversational, product, and external. We want to hear from you now, and I will launch this poll in a second, but which kind of knowledge is most frequently used by your team, keeping those 4 different types in mind. I will launch this poll. It's not a single choice, it's a multiple choice poll, so you don't have to be locked into one answer, but we are curious to hear what are the most important things, the important types of knowledge for your team. Give about 1 more minute to answer this poll. All right, I'm going to end it right here. So what seems to be most important to everyone is that the process knowledge and the product knowledge are most important to your teams. I'm curious to hear who voted for external. Would love to hear what kind of external knowledge is so important to your team. I'm very surprised that nobody voted for conversational. I certainly use conversational knowledge very much as I'm doing a lot of trainings, but it's awesome to see that process and product knowledge are so important to your teams. So if you found that you had a tough time choosing just one, you're a lot like Chad's team. So while Chad was going through a knowledge review with the help of his Guru CSM, he recognized that his team used all 4 types of knowledge across the sales process. They had processes to follow, they had information they needed quickly while on a call, such as competitive battle cards and positioning. They had product knowledge to be well versed in, and they had external collateral to send prospects and help close the deal. So if those 4 types of knowledge live in different places, that's a lot of time taken out of your day that can, searching for that knowledge, that can hurt your prospect or your customer experience. So Chad found that Guru helped bring all of these types together and made it easy for his subject matter experts to organize their knowledge by type to effectively coach his team with the right information at the right time. All right, it is go time. So we've covered knowledge types and we've covered boards, and now we're going to give you the opportunity to create boards, one for each type of knowledge. Now, what's going to happen here first is I'm going to give a bit of a demonstration of what that will look like in Guru. We touched on a lot of this early setup in Learning Lab number 1 of creating a collection and giving a group author permissions within a collection. If you weren't a part of Learning Lab number 1, don't worry. You can view that recording and then build on it by having the opportunity to do the interactive stuff that we're working on right now. So I'll give a bit of a demo and then we'll come back and I'll post the instructions on the screen so that you can have an opportunity to do this within your own team. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? Somebody give me a holler in the chat, please. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to click into this new collection that I created last Learning Lab. So if you're coming from Learning Lab number 1, this is a familiar face. We're going to dive right into it. So this is my collection. This is my music festival. And now I'm going to make the stages, one for each type of knowledge. So I'll click on this plus sign, add a board or board group. Click board, and I'll say process knowledge. I can give this board a description. I'm not going to right now just for the sake of time. And then I'll click save. And so this is where I can organize all of my team's process knowledge. I'm going to go ahead and create a section first, just to show you what that will look like if you want to get even more granular in your organization. So I'll say, let's say this is a Salesforce process section. This is a great way for me to organize the cards that I create into this section so that you can, so that another member of my team can read all of the pieces of knowledge that are related to processes in Salesforce. So that was very quick. Again, clicking on this plus sign, adding a board or a board group will give you the opportunity to create a board. We want to give you that opportunity now, so I'll go back to the instructions. All right, so we're going to take about 4 minutes. Follow these steps to creating a board. And we've given you some extra credit here if you want to add sections or group two boards together. But we want you to create a board per each type of knowledge. So I'll give you about 4 minutes now. We'll come back around 2:28. All right, we're coming up on 1 minute left. If you've had a chance to create all 4 boards, would you go ahead and give me a smiley face in the chat? This is a good way for me to see where everybody is. Mary Catherine going above and beyond, doing the extra credit, creating a few boards with sections. Well done. And if you feel empowered to do so, definitely keep creating boards. The more you create boards and organize your knowledge now, the easier it will be to bring that information into Guru. Ryan, I'm just seeing your question now around migrating HTML pages. What I would suggest in that situation is looking into our spreadsheet migrator. That's one of the migration options that I mentioned before. That's a good way for you to bring information in bulk into Guru. Just scrolling in the chat. Okay, cool. All right, it is 2:28. We are going to keep moving. If you needed more time to create more boards, don't worry. We can continue to work on this later on. So now we're going to talk about how your knowledge should be owned and knowledge ownership, and how Guru can help you with making sure that your knowledge stays up to date and expert verified. So these are two of my favorite emojis, the party emoji and the confounded emoji. I think these two emojis translate really well into two icons in Guru, the first being the verified, the trusted icon, and the second, the red exclamation point, being the unverified, untrusted icon. So the keyword for your knowledge ownership is clarity. And a lot of what the green check translates is that clarity. So you don't want your team spending too much time being unsure of what is or isn't up to date, whether or not something should be changed, or who that information, that knowledge should be changed by. The more clarity that you can give your team over who owns your knowledge, the better they'll feel about using that knowledge to do their job. So the more green checks you have, the more party emojis you'll find. So any knowledge that your team has should be clearly assigned to an individual or a group as an owner. Think of it as a single subject matter expert or multiple. That knowledge should be clearly up to date. We don't want your team using a long form document that hasn't been updated since 2009. That's kind of a scary moment for your team. And you want that knowledge to have a clear process and timeline for being updated or being maintained. Now, all three of these things manifest in Guru in something that we call our verification engine. So this is how knowledge ownership works in Guru. We built it to make it easy for your teams to know who owns your knowledge and whether or not that information is up to date and expert verified. So the first thing I'll talk about, that's the green check mark and the red exclamation point, that's the trust state. When you have a green check, that's a trusted piece of knowledge. When you have a red exclamation point, that's an untrusted piece of knowledge. This is a very easy way for your team to discern if something is good to use or a little bit shaky. In talking about ownership, so cards can be assigned to verifying groups, like the ones that we created last week in the Learning Lab, or individual users. These two cards in particular have been assigned to groups, the CS group and the support group. This is a great way to share the responsibility for your team to ensure knowledge is up to date. So if you have a group of subject matter experts, you can assign them the verifying task of owning a card and keeping it up to date. For every card, you have a verification interval. We know that your information might change very rapidly, or it might not change at all. So that's why the verification interval for each card in Guru can be set for as soon as a week or as long as a year. That way Guru can notify you to update your knowledge at the right cadence. Finally, we've built a feature called requesting verification. So when knowledge becomes unverified in Guru, and your end users see that piece of information is unverified, your team can request of the right experts to update that information easily in their workflow, and that way the entirety of your team can benefit. All right, another poll for y'all. So we've talked about knowledge ownership in Guru and how important it is for your information to have clear owners and clear upkeep. So I'm curious now to hear from you, and I'll post this poll in 1 second. Who owns your knowledge? Who are the people that are in charge of maintaining your knowledge for your team? Give about 30 more seconds. If that, I think all of you have voted, so that's awesome. All right, I'm going to end this poll and share it out so that everyone can see it. So we've got a 50-50 split between subject matter experts and I'm not sure. And if you are in either of these boats, you're a lot like our buddy Chad, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but this is, you're in a great place for Guru because you either know who you should be assigning knowledge to, or you're not sure, and Guru will give you an opportunity to assign that information to the right subject matter expert or experts. So if this question took you a little bit of time to answer, or you were in the subject matter expert or I'm not sure categories, you're a lot like Chad. So when he was wrangling the information for his sales team, he recognized that a lot of information wasn't clearly owned, or there wasn't a clear process for his subject matter experts to update that knowledge. So with Guru, Chad's team now has better visibility into who their subject matter experts are, what knowledge they're in charge of, and what is up to date and verified for their team to use successfully. So with Guru, you'll spend less time searching for answers and for the right people to answer your questions, and you'll spend more time being efficient and accomplishing your tasks at hand. All right, go time number 2. So now we're going to take the opportunity to create 3 cards in Guru. We're going to create them from the board that you're just on. So if you've navigated away from that, please go back to the boards that you just created. You can pick one of the 4 types of knowledge, but then we're going to go in and create 3 cards and assign verifiers to each card. 2 of those cards will be assigned to individuals, and 1 card will be assigned to a group as a verifier. So I'm going to share my my Guru instance. Can I get a yes if you can see my screen in the chat, please? All right, JP, you got me. I appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to add a card onto this process knowledge board right now. So I'm going to go ahead and use my favorite demo question. Think of the most frequently asked question at any company. What is the Wi-Fi password? And I'm going to say our Wi-Fi password is strawberry, because believe it or not, it is. And now that I've created this card, or now that I've written this card, I'm going to click next. It's already in the new collection, so we don't have to worry about assigning it to a collection. We're adding it directly to the process knowledge board, but if you wanted to add or create a board really quickly that you can add this card to, this is a good way to do so. Cards can live on one board or multiple boards. This is a great way to organize knowledge that's relevant to more than one topic. So if you want to add a card to more than one board, that's something that you can do right here. Same with tags. Tags will be very helpful for, especially in Learning Lab number 3, when we talk about rolling out. Tags will be, really helpful for people who are searching by a topic or a type. So if I wanted to apply the tag of process to this type of knowledge, I could then surface it very easily later on. I'm going to click next again, bottom right-hand corner. And I'm going to assign myself as the verifier for this card. And I think this knowledge won't change for a good year, so I'm going to click on the verification interval and choose from the drop-down that every year I should get notified to verify this knowledge. Now, if someone went and changed this information, I would get a notification that my knowledge is no longer verified, and I would have to go in and either change the information to be the verified knowledge, or say, oh, the changes made were correct. Great, I'll just verify that. So once I click save, you'll see the card created right here. And now this is something that I could search for on the top bar there, or in the Guru extension, and we'll talk about the extension very shortly. But this is a great way for me to add knowledge right into the board that I'm working on so that I can continue to, grow my knowledge base very quickly. So now we're going to give you the opportunity to work on this. It's a two-part process. So here are your steps. We're going to give you another 4 minutes. So at 2:42, I'll do another smiley face check-in just to make sure everybody's on the right page. So go ahead and happy card creation. All right, we've got about a minute left. Can you give me a smiley face if you've been able to create 3 cards and assign verifiers? Thank you, Kristen and JP. I appreciate the joy in the chat right now. Harrison, thanks for your question. In regards to structuring collections, I would recommend definitely unit of a company. We talked about collections as an opportunity to organize by, a subject or by a department. So if you have sales, support, HR, collections are a great opportunity to organize per those company units, but you can also organize by, type of collateral if you wanted to get very granular. Okay. Well, thank you all for taking part in this due time. We thoroughly appreciate it. And we have one more section to cover, and that's about adding to your knowledge base and doing so on the fly in a dynamic way, in a way that benefits your entire team very quickly. So I think I speak for all of us when I say we don't work at static companies. Things change, policies and procedures get updated, we iterate, we move fast, we break things. But there's a lot of work to do to make sure your team knows how things work and what things change. We want to make that easier for you with better knowledge management, with a knowledge network. So whether that's with Guru or in general, and we want to help you make your knowledge base dynamic. So some benefits of keeping your knowledge base dynamic, you'll fill the gaps. When you know something and other people don't, it can create a disconnect at your company. So by filling the gap, you're ensuring everyone is on the same page. Keeping your knowledge base dynamic grows the network. It helps encourage others to add, and it increases the size and effectiveness of your knowledge network so that you have the right people who own the right things and the right subject matter experts who ensure that that knowledge trickles down and throughout your entire organization. This is hard to admit, but it's very important. You don't know what you don't know. And there are other people on your team or in your organization who will know how to fill those gaps. So getting them to be a part of your network and ensuring that they add to your dynamic knowledge base will help the rest of your team grow and know how to do things and how to accomplish their tasks at hand. So the more that you keep your knowledge base dynamic and the more that you add to it, you'll have more contributors and correct ownership over the knowledge as it's created. So you'll encourage more contributors to contribute. You'll find your subject matter experts empowered to add more knowledge to your base as they see the benefit of bringing the knowledge they know to the rest of your team. And you'll find that your team will be in the know. And we'll talk about this even more in the next Learning Lab, but they'll have the information they need to accomplish their tasks and to be successful in their jobs. So this is an asking the audience question. We want to hear from you in the chat. So we know that sometimes adding to your knowledge base can be an easy process or it can be a lengthy process. So I'm curious to hear from you what the process is right now for your team to add knowledge. So go ahead and post your response to this question in the chat. Feel free to share it with all panelists and attendees. This is, something that we value at Guru is seeking and sharing knowledge. So feel free to share with everyone else if you'd like, but if you would like for it to be private, that's totally okay. We'll take about a minute. Okay, that's a great example. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks to go back and forth on changes. That can be a daunting process. We don't have a process. Okay, that's a very important thing to recognize about how you upload knowledge to your knowledge base and make sure your team knows how to do things or how to accomplish things. When an issue comes up that no one has seen before, someone creates a doc and adds to our existing knowledge base. Perfect. That's the best process for filling the gap like we talked about. Awesome. So if you find that your process is painstakingly long or your team adds information in a way that's like very willy-nilly, so to speak, you're a lot like Chad's team. So before Guru, they didn't have a standardized process in place, and they were looking at putting in too much process. So it made it very difficult for Chad's team to share their knowledge and even harder for them to search for and find the information they're looking for. So with Guru, Chad and his counterparts found a way to make this process of adding knowledge more organic and dynamic, as we talked about, as their team grew. And they needed more information to perform well. So they were able to fill in the gaps quicker and provide knowledge for frequently asked questions, provide that external content that they found to perform very well, and just continue to add to the knowledge base as their team needed more. Okay, so the easiest way to add to your knowledge base is to be able to do so without going out of your workflow. So right now we're going to download the Guru extension as this last piece of Go time, and we're going to create a card using the Guru extension. So if you go to this link, it's bit.ly/guru-ext. This will take you to our Help Center documentation, which is it's very short, very easy to understand. You can download the right Guru extension for your respective web browser right from this Help Center article. And I will show you really quickly what it looks like to create a card in Guru. So I'm clicking on the extension right now. Can everyone see this? Can you just give me a shout if that's true in the chat, please? Awesome. So great. So this is the Guru extension. Notice I haven't left my presentation. I didn't need to go into the web app, or I didn't need to go into another location. I can quickly search and find the knowledge that I was looking for right in my workflow. So let's find that Wi-Fi password card that I created earlier. Awesome. Took me, 4 types, and I'm right here, and I know the information I need to accomplish the task of connecting to the Wi-Fi. So once you've downloaded the Guru extension, we are going to go through creating a card, and it's the same process that we talked about in the web app, but this is a way to do so that's in your workflow and doesn't take extra amount of time to create and add to your dynamically growing knowledge base. So I'll go through again. What's our office door code? Door code is 1234. And this is where you'll choose the collection. So I'm going to stick with the new collection as we've talked about it. I'm also going to add it to my process knowledge board. So this is a way for you to organize your knowledge in your workflow versus going into the Guru web app and just dynamically add very quickly to your knowledge base. Again, I'll assign myself as a verifier, and I'll click Save. And now this card is created and will be indexed in the extension, so I can search for it, easily find this knowledge later. So I'll give you about 3 minutes to go to this link and download the Guru extension. And then once you're there, create a card. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to message me through private Q&A or in the chat if you want to send to all panelists. That'll go to me as well. Okay, it is 2:53, and I want to be wary of your time and allow you to get back to your day as well. You've all been super helpful in being interactive and being present for this learning lab. So I do want to be wary of your time and not go over time in any way. So we're going to move forward now. Can you just let me know in the chat what browser you are downloading the Guru extension for? Is it Firefox, Chrome, Safari, Opera? Awesome. See a handful of Chrome users so far. All right. Sweet. Yeah, that's what I use as well. It is, definitely the most efficient browser for me. So I'm not going to get into the war of the browsers right now. But so you all have the Guru extension, and you all are familiar with creating cards now. So I'm giving you some homework. So for next time when we're talking about rolling out Guru at your team, I want you to have created 5 cards in Guru. They can be FAQs like, what's the Wi-Fi password? What's our office door code? Or they can be, what is our support process? What is our sales process? How do I deposition against X competitor? What is our paid time off process? Think of the 5 most frequently searched for pieces of information that your team would most benefit from, and add that information into Guru. That'll be super helpful when you're rolling out Guru to your team, and it'll be helpful in proving the value of getting that knowledge in their workflow very easily. Okay, so we've covered 3 main learning objectives today. And by the end of this session, you should feel able to organize your knowledge into types and topics. We talked about boards, board groups, sections, those 4 different types of knowledge. We've covered that in depth. We've determined ownership over your knowledge and understood how to assign that ownership of knowledge in Guru using the verification engine, and assigning either groups or individuals to own certain cards. And finally, we've talked about adding to your knowledge base in an easy and dynamic way, and we've had the opportunity to do so by creating a card through the browser extension. Now, next week on the 14th, we will be doing episode 3 of our Getting Started Learning Lab. We'll be focusing on being in the know and rolling out Guru to your team. And also we'll talk about how to keep knowledge top of mind for your team in a way that doesn't feel daunting and in a way that feels empowering. Here are some resources for you that will help along your Guru journey. So as always, our help center is at help.getguru.com. It's a great, Bible of documentation to help you with anything that you might encounter in Guru. Definitely feel like you can leverage that. And you can also leverage the Guru team, the Guru gurus, so to speak. You can chat with us at support@getguru.com. If you're looking for more of a hands-on consultation about your knowledge, we have this Calendly link that is our Scalable CS team's. It's their link for scheduling a more in-depth consultation, and they can guide you about your knowledge. Finally, if you have any thoughts or comments, or there's something missing from these learning labs, we want to make these better for you, please give us your feedback. bit.ly/getgurustarted. Reach out if you have any questions or want to continue the conversation. Happy to work with you and make sure that you're educated on all things Guru. Okay, that's it from me. If you have any questions or want to pose any, brain teasers in the chat, feel free to post them or go through private Q&A. Happy to answer those. But thank you so much for being here, and we look forward to seeing you for Learning Lab number 3.